Good evening. This is CTV News for Friday, December 1st. I'm Karen Campbell.
And I'm Byron Scott. Thank you for joining us tonight. Well, hundreds of women signed on to 2 class action lawsuits against a local hospital after discovering their doctor was a fake.
And Patricia Vallone has been looking into the story, and she joins us now with more details. This is a very shocking case.
Huge case, and fake doesn't even begin to explain the level of deceit behind what has happened in these cases. Well, back in November 2016, 54-year-old Oluwafemi Igberasi of Bowie pleaded guilty to misusing a Social Security number to fraudulently obtain a Maryland medical license. He was masquerading as an accredited doctor of gynecology and obstetrics in Prince George's County. The fake doctor served only 6 months in federal prison, but many of his victims are only now finding out about his crimes.
It just grossed me out. It's just not something you should have to deal with at all.
JALISA Smith only found out this past Thanksgiving that she was a victim of a fake doctor operating in Prince George's County. She saw an ad like this one on Facebook, searching for victims of Dr. Charles Okoda.
Several months ago, I was contacted by a couple women who had seen I use that term loosely, Dr. Okoda, and they had read on the internet how he was not actually a physician and that how he had pled guilty to a crime. And they wanted to see what could be done as far as pursuing a civil case. And the more I looked into it, I realized that it's not just a couple women that saw Dr. Okoda, but that in all likelihood it's hundreds and hundreds of people that were treated by this doctor.
More than a year has passed since Oluwafemi Igberasi was sentenced to 6 months in prison for using the false identity of Dr. Charles Okoda. But victims are just learning about the depth of his lies.
There were forged documents indicating that he attended a medical school in Nigeria. No one has been able to verify it, and I believe it's also in the court records that they could not verify that he actually attended medical school. What we do know is he came here under a different name. He took the foreign medical exam several times and failed it. He then came up with a new identity, with a new Social Security number, eventually passed the foreign medical exam and entered a residency ultimately at Howard University under a fake name.
Now, the so-called Dr. Okoda got his first big break when he got hired by a Dr. Chaudhry, who has this office here in Cheverly as well as one in District Heights.
He did a lot of my pelvic exams without a CNA or someone else in the room. And when I brought it to his attention, he was just like, you don't have to have a CNA if they're out doing something. It was just little stuff like that. And then when stuff got serious in the doctor's office, because I had high-risk pregnancies, he would never know what to do. It was always, let me consult with Dr. Chaudhry.
Okoda also had privileges at Prince George's Hospital Center. In 2012, Smith says she was admitted to the hospital after becoming very ill. That's where a feeding tube was inserted into her arm.
They allowed him to put this PICC line in my arm, and I ended up coming back to the hospital later that night due to blood clots from my lung and going towards my heart. And I stayed in the hospital maybe another month and a half after that.
This isn't the first time the fake doctor has come to the attention of authorities.
We had a case where he was charged with rape. Someone who had allegedly been a patient of his while he was operating without a proper medical license, accused him of that. He was charged with it. The county police, along with our office, investigated it. Unfortunately, we had to dismiss those charges because there was insufficient evidence to move forward.
Attorneys say the so-called doctor did more than just conduct office visits.
Breast exams, pap smears, but I've talked with many people who had their babies delivered by this doctor, had cesarean sections performed on them, and it never should have been done. And the people that I've talked to, there are numerous complications that resulted from the procedures that Dr. Okoda performed.
And attorneys say Igberasi, a.k.a. Dr. Charles Okoda, may have many more victims in the region who have yet to realize that they were treated under false pretenses. And this case is just growing and growing.
Yeah, now this doctor, I understand he was in practice for 5 years, but he only got 6 months.
Yes, it seems like a very, very limited, penalty for what he did. And what's the attorneys are saying is that when they go back to the indictments, much of it is redacted, and they don't even know what's in there. And the fact that he got such a short sentence makes them think that perhaps he's a cooperating witness and that this story may be bigger, and perhaps more people are involved.
Does he have any medical experience, background, teaching?
Well, what the attorney ELLIN said is basically all we're hearing is that they cannot find, they claimed that he had one that was in Nigeria. We can't find anything here. They can't find anything in Nigeria. The only actual training would have been when he had his residency at Howard University, but he should never have had that in the beginning because he didn't have medical training. So
Exactly.
like I said, this thing has wings. It's going to grow. It's going to be a bigger story even than it is
We
now.
will continue to follow this story. Thank you, Patty.
All right, thank you. Well, a federal grand jury has indicted a physician for illegally prescribing controlled substances to patients. Dr. William Vaughn is a resident of Largo. During the time of his practice in urgent care in Potomac, Vaughn prescribed 4 individuals amphetamine pills outside of the usual limit and without medical purpose. This drug is also known as Adderall and is used to treat people with attention deficit disorder. Vaughn is facing up to 20 years in prison if he is convicted.
A former top Trump national security advisor pleads guilty to lying to the FBI. Michael Flynn admits to lying to the federal agency about 2 conversations with the Russian ambassador last December during the presidential transition. Now, the charges are the latest indication that he is in cooperation with special counsel Robert Mueller, who is investigating Russia's interference into the 2016 presidential election. Political experts say a plea deal suggests that Flynn provided information to prosecutors, which may help advance the inquiry. Now, Flynn could face up to 5 years in prison.
The People for Change Coalition says there are disparities in how grant monies for environmental issues are being handed out. The organization held a news conference this morning to call for change. Organizers say that Chesapeake Bay Trust, or CBT, which oversees the program, awarded only one black-run nonprofit a grant.
The problem that we have right now is over the past 4 years, $5.83 million has been awarded, and the majority of the grants have gone to entities who are white in and outside of the county. That is a huge concern to us because Prince George's County is majority black, 65% African American. In addition, we have our homeowners, our churches, our civic associations, HOAs, communities are all paying into this fund via their property tax bill.
The CBT has issued a release saying that nearly 50% of grants it issued went to organizations that were predominantly led by people of color.